Hello, and welcome to In the Ring. I'm your host, Nicky Knuckles. And this week, I'm proud to have on the show Maurice Spizzato. Many people know him in the boxing world as Kid Sharkey. Sharkey, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to come to the show. I appreciate it.
Well, I tell you, I've got a million questions, and I've known you for, it's got to be 17 years now.
At least.
Yeah. You know, it never gets, boring as far as talking with you because you're a wealth of knowledge.
Boxing's an exciting sport anyhow, you know. It always keeps us going, keeps us young.
Yep.
You know. And I'm going to be, in a few months, I'll be 90 years old, and I started boxing when I was 40 years old, and I'm still in the gym.
Yep.
So longevity keeps you going, so it's best that all these members of the state, they Westchester Boxing Club, and keep on working.
Yep.
And live a long life.
And that's the boxing club that you're still training people at, and it's ironic because that's actually where we met.
Right. Well, I just go there. I just go there to help out. You know. I get a big kick out of doing that because keeps my mind going, gives me something to do all the time, and I keep thinking about boxing and meeting all these other people. We got nice members come into the gym, you know, and it's great to meet them, and I really enjoy it. See, I think it's very nice. And then, of course, we talk about all the great fighters of yesterday, today, and so forth, and people said, how do you compare these fighters to the other fighters? Well, the way I look at it, in the old days, those guys were iron workers, you know, they trained differently and so forth, but they were all great fighters, and then at that time, it was a tough line of fighters to go through because there were so many fighters fighting at the time. You see, it's a different story, but still in all, you got to give these kids credit. They got guts to get in there and fight, and that's just count. So they train different methods. But they're all, in my opinion, they always ask me who was the greatest fighter and so forth. Well, they're all champions in their days. At that time, they were all great. One time, one of these mafia guys in the Midland boy come up to me and said, "You know, Kid Sharkey, you're one of the greatest fighters of all time." I said, "Well, I don't know. I was just a bootleg fighter, but if you say so, I'm not gonna argue with the mafia." So I let it go with that. So
well,
that's it.
You've worked with some of the greatest fighters of all time.
Yeah,
You've
I did.
Boxed some of the greatest fighters of all time. Sugar Ray Robinson to a draw in the bootleg circuit.
Lou Ambers was a world champion, and also I worked with Larry Holmes, and also O.J. Torres, Tracy Patterson, Louis Duval, Doug DeWitt. I worked with all those guys to become world champions, and they were all great kids, and I give them a lot of credit, you know, because they they trained, they stuck to what they were supposed to do, and so forth, and they become world champions, and I'm really proud of that. And also, even when I worked with Stephen DeCountry with fighters years back too, all them kids turned out to be great fighters too. But at that time, we just let them fight as amateurs because it was too tough to get in. It was tough to get in to fight as a pro fighter because it was controlled by the mob and so forth, and they favored all different fighters. That's why we had the bootleg circuit of boxing.
Yes.
We had to have it that way, and all these fellas wanted to make a payday. You know, they come in to make a payday in boxing. They were, you know, to get some work so they could continue fighting, and that's the way the game was at the time. But it's still boxing is still number one in my book. I like football and baseball and all, but boxing was always number one in my books. And then sometimes you meet the nicest guys in the world. I met Muhammad Ali back in 1987. I helped him cut his 44th birthday cake, and he was the nicest guy you want to meet. I went overseas with quite a few fighters, Carla Truth Williams, and all fighters like that, and they were all nice to me. And working with Ronaldo Snipes when he fought for the championship of the world, I balanced his hands for that fight, and it was always a great thrill to be in there fighting for the world championship. And for 10 seconds we were the world champions when he had him down, but I don't know. I think they kind of job us in the way. But anyway, it's still history because he knocked him down, and that was it. So that's the way the game goes. Yeah. So when I met Larry Holmes a long time after, he said, "You're the guy to have me knocked down." I said, "Well, that was a thrill for us anyhow." But anyway, they were all nice fellas in the boxing game, and so I really enjoy it.
Well,
being in the gym.
I want to definitely talk about a lot of the history of boxing, and we're definitely going to have you on the show more often.
Sure.
There's one thing I wanted to take the time to mention, and that Sharkey's been like a father to me, and he's been an integral part of my life and changing my life, not just through boxing, from his mentoring and his help, and getting me off the streets of White Plains. And I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs or any of the bad things I used to do, and I owe it all to Sharkey and my wonderful little boy Dylan, who's like a grandson to you, and I just want to say hi to Dylan. And
really nice.
Yeah, we're very grateful to have you in our lives, Shark, and it's just a beautiful thing.
It's great to be there, and I have aches and pains, but if I wouldn't been feeling pain, I wouldn't be here, so why complain?
Well, we're glad you're here, and
I'm still here. That's it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun working with you and training all the different boxers together.
Now you mentioned about keeping these kids off the street. I was a private detective for 26 years, and anytime these kids got in trouble, dope or something like that, I used to go up to Captain Lynch.
Yeah.
I'd bring the kid up there to him. I says, they're going to give us the information, but I want them out of the picture. And he always gave him a second chance. Yeah. And I was always grateful for that, because when a kid's young, he makes a lot of mistakes, you don't think right, and you got to give him a chance to make good again. Yeah. And a lot of them turn out to be good. So
you also have a master's degree in psychology also. That comes in handy.
Well, not exactly that, but I went there, but I studied psychology. I don't want to say that, but I studied, yeah. But I developed what you call an uncanny brain. As a detective, you see, you size things up right away. Sometimes they can lock a guy up right away and say, well, he wasn't convicted. Maybe he really didn't do the crime, Yeah. And so you always have to give a guy a second chance for that reason. See, a lot of times they make a false arrest for some reason or another, and they don't get the right guy, and so forth. So when I used to fingerprint these guys, I used to say, well, they were locked up, but they weren't convicted. Yeah. So that way you could even hire them to do the job and so forth. Yeah. See, and that's the way it was. But I studied a lot of psychology in college and so forth, and that helped me a lot. When I first started working for Pickett Detective Agency, as soon as they checked my background, I was promoted to a sergeant and lieutenant, then a captain, and then I had quite a few men working underneath me at the time, and it was a great experience, you see. And anytime, no matter how things look bad today, tomorrow is always another day, and you always try to live on those sorts.
Well, you've helped me keep that optimistic viewpoint over the years.
Optimistic all the time.
You know all the things that I've been through.
You try to do that all the time.
I appreciate your positive encouragement. It's been great. The other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of people might not know, the people that know you, I'm sure they know that the hat that you're wearing, World War II veteran. You were in Tarawa, you defended your country. And how do you feel about that, especially with the war going on right now?
Well, see, at that time, they bombed Pearl Harbor, and I was working for the railroad at the time. I could have got a deferment, but I figured, well, no, I said, after all, they bombed us, and I wanted to get in, so I joined the Marine Corps. And, of course, I was banged up on Tarawa, and it ended my boxing career, but I've never bitter about it because I felt I was fighting for my country. Yeah. Now, the war today, I'm against that war because I feel we have no business to be over there. Iraq. We have no business fighting that war, and it's a shame that all these young boys are being killed, you see. So many times I even called the White House, and I mentioned my opinion to the White House, what I thought about the war and so forth. And I said he feels that it's a noble affair. Well, if he feels so noble about it, why don't he send his daughter to go over and fight the war? Why should always the poor kids have to go and fight a war all the time? See? And I'm really against that, and especially when we have no business over there, because, in other words, that country wasn't doing no harm to us. Yeah. They wasn't doing us. Like the difference with Pearl Harbor, they bombed us. That's another story. So I feel that they should bring these troops home because, we got 32 million people living in poverty here in the United States. And all he's worried about is Iraq. What about the people we got to help here? We need some help here. They want to close churches, they want to close schools and so forth. People laid off on their jobs, and also some had to go bankrupt. I mean, it's really a shame. It's a disgrace. And in this country of the world, we shouldn't have any poor people. We shouldn't have any disabled veterans. These veterans are fought for their country, and they treat them like a bunch of bummers. Wow. And they make all these promises to you, but believe me, I had to fight all these years to get my benefits. Believe me, they don't want to give you nothing. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, I can't remember offhand who it was, but somebody had mentioned that a good solution would be boxing. If we took the heads of each country and we had a boxing match and we settled it in the ring, I think it would probably be a whole lot better. I mean, there would be a lot more peace going on.
Well, Scoopalello said we should put all these fellas that want to start the war, put them and let them fight the war. See? But now, see, if they was advanced in all walks of life, there wouldn't be no wars.
Yeah.
Believe me, there wouldn't be no wars.
That's true.
Because now, people ask me, would you want to go back to war again? I said, no. I couldn't be that lucky.
Yeah.
I was hit 2 or 3 times, and I was in the hospital convalescent for 11 months. And I'm crippled now for the rest of my life. But like I say, I'm not better in one sense. I'm better in one sense because I was a poor kid, and I really had nothing to fight for anybody, all to fight for my country. Now, a lot of these guys are millionaires now. They never go fight the war. They never fight. Like the president now, he's a millionaire. All he worries about the oil and this and that. What does he care about these kids? They're just stubborn. He's very stubborn-minded. And what does he know about war anyhow? When he had a chance to go to the front lines, he wouldn't go. The same thing with Shady. But they're quick to start a war for somebody else. It's just like you're on the outside of the ring, and the guy's getting the hell knocked out of him in the ring, and you keep pushing and pushing, but you're not taking the punches.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the war.
You got to know when to pull your fighter out.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned, just changing the subject slightly for a minute, you mentioned 2 gentlemen that I have a lot of respect for and that I'm proud to say are good friends of mine and have taught me a lot about boxing, just like I've been fortunate enough to learn from world championship trainers to be a good trainer. And those men are Steve Acunzo, who was actually on our show last week.
Right.
And
That was a nice clinic. That was nice.
And Scoop Galello. Tell me a little bit about your friendships with these men
With Steve Acunzo, years back in the 40s, we had a stable of fighters. We used to train fighters and so forth, and work. And I learned a lot working with him because he was a very intelligent fella. And like I mentioned before, his father was a music teacher, but he didn't want to borrow music. The only music he wanted to play was the Silver Jim on a bag and punching around with the fighters. And of course, he worked with great fighters like Jimmy McLaren, Tony Cantoneri, Bonnie Ross, all those great fighters. And it was always a pleasure to be with Stephen Acunzo because I learned a lot from him too, about protecting a fighter. So you got to be smart now. Like when Marky Marciano was coming up as a fighter, okay, they wanted to put him with Archie Moore. Archie Moore was a great fighter. He never did any favors for him. He had the record of knockouts, 128 knockouts, and so they wanted to put him in there when he was coming up, Marciano. And I was down there filming him at the time too. And I was, no, you're not going to fight him now. Forget about it now. When he was 45 years old, and he fought Archie Moore, and Archie Moore dropped him in the first round. He's taking when he's young. That's why you got to have a guy that knows boxing, understands boxing. You got to have a guy that knows trainers that knows how to pick opponent apart, his style and so forth. And you got somebody that understands boxing. And the same thing, you got to know how to match your fighter to bring him along. If you're going to look bad with one fighter, like they did with Tyson, bringing him up, they brought him up, they used all that propaganda, but they brought him in the right spots to bring him to the top. And that's where you got to be as a manager. And the same thing with Scoop Galello. He was great. He was a great writer, always helping people out in boxing. And he was a great teacher. He used to teach boxing in college and schools and so forth. And he was a great teacher in boxing. He was a great fighter too. And the thing is that I always liked about him because he always tried to help somebody. He always writes stories about a club and always tried to bring it to the top. And I really appreciate that. Thought he was very nice. But they're 2 great fellas, and they're the best in the business. Now they call me the world's greatest trainer. Well, it all rolled on me because I work with the world's greatest trainer. Whitey Bimstein, Frank Backman, Al Backman, Stephen Acunzo, all great fighters like that. Freddie Brown, they were all great trainers, and Ray Arcel. They were all great trainers in their day. So I learned a lot from them. So they want to call me the world's greatest trainer. I got to give them credit for being the world's greatest trainer.
Well, I guess the knowledge keeps getting passed down because now I've been fortunate enough to work with you nonstop, night and day.
See, like I tell Herschel Jacobs and you, now you guys to become the world's greatest trainers because it's rolled off on you.
Thanks
you guys, you do, especially You got to teach the fundamentals of boxing. You got to start from the beginning. And like you say, you teach them how to throw a left jab first. First of all, get their stance. Get their proper stance. Learn how to throw a left jab. Okay? After you master that, then maybe learn how to throw a right uppercut or a right punch. Things like that. Then you learn how to move around and so forth, style by style, and you teach them how to throw uppercuts. You got to do every step-by-step fundamentals. You can't just, see, sometimes a lot of fighters, you can never make good shape because they want to be like them. And you can't do that. You got to have patience and bring them along nicely. You got to go to different levels. They come up. That's why in the old days it was hard to get fights because you had to make so many fighters fight at the time. Great fighter after another. So before you get a champion fight, so many 6-rounders, so many 12-rounders, so many 8-rounders before you even get a chance at the title. You see, like Max Rosenblum was one of the greatest champions of all time. He fought 34 times in 1 year. These guys don't do it in their whole career because he was so smart and clever. And you got Frank Backman, one of the best fighters in the business, and it's always a pleasure that I had to work with him because he was a great guy. And Al Backman was a great trainer, and I worked with him, you know. All great guys in boxing. And don't forget, Frank Backman had 3 world champions. Yep. So being associated with him, that was a big boost for me, with Al Backman and so forth. And we always got along good together, and we're still great friends. We meet each other, we talk to each other all the time. And we had the Chappaqua a year or so ago. We had the payday of boxing with Bert Sugar and so forth. You were up there with us and so forth. And we had a great time talking about boxing. So keep boxing alive, that's all. That's why I look at it. See?
Now let's mention about the gym that you're training out of, because the general public, you know, not just in White Plains, but anybody in driving distance to the gym, you know, in a local, you know, 20, 30-mile radius, if they want to come down and they want to work with you and the trainers that have been schooled by yourself and Steve Agunto.
Well, see, the Westchester Boxing is a good location, 220 Ferris Avenue. At that time, we used to have the KT Center upstairs.
Yep, that's
and
where we met.
With Charlie Caserta and Les Fernandez and all. And with Charlie Caserta started with Golden Glove champion way back in 1927. And we had more Golden Glove champion history of the sport. Yep. You know, where all that time goes way back. So I feel even out at Westchester Boxing Club is a nice location, and they got a nice group of people come in there, and good trainers that come in there and work with the kids and so forth, and it's like a family. They all greet, you know, the people come in and greet, you know, and hey, and even with the young girls, I train these young girls, they come in and give me kisses all the time, so I'm not going to fight with them.
That's really
I always tell them, you know, you girls punch so hard, I'll take your kisses but not your punches. But it's a great place to work. If your kid wants to come in and work, you got little young kids too and all, and it's a great place to learn boxing. And you got a beautiful location.
And you're not trying to turn out pros or amateurs.
No.
You're just trying to get people in shape to a real boxing sport.
Right. No, we're not interested in other words, if we ever do something like that, in other words, kids are going to be good champions and so forth, we could turn them over to a professional trainer. Yeah. And let them work with the trainer, then they can give you so much percentage of the fighter if he makes good. Yeah. You know, it's the old days, like when I worked with Buster Matthews Jr. at the time, and then they pay my buddy Al Backman, then they pitch him out of the picture. I didn't want to be in the picture either, but anyway, then I bought a lawsuit against him when he fought for the championship of the world. I got $6,000 on the fight, where I had a contract. So, in other words, I feel if you develop some good fighters from your gym, and you want to turn them over to one of the professionals, well, let them give you some kind of percentage for your work. That's hard work. Yeah. People, they don't realize it's a lot of time, a lot of energy, space, you know, just like a doctor has to get paid for his time. Teacher has to get paid for their time in school, so it's the same thing with a man when you teach a fighter.
Yeah, and the ages of the kids, there's kids that come in as young as 6 years old.
That's sure.
And they're not competing. They're just skipping rope.
That's right.
And they're learning the basics, and we try to, you know, teach them the right way, and just to not, you know, use these skills out in the streets.
Well, see, the method you have there is this way. You see, these kids take pride now, like we got Frankie Daniels. Frankie Daniels is a good football player.
Yeah.
Played with the championship team. He learned how to punch, but he takes so much pride because he's punching hard, and he enjoys doing that. So if that gives him an incentive, you know, to keep coming in all the time because he's doing something that's constructive.
Yeah.
See, and then keeps him out of trouble too. You know, instead of go on the gym bill, getting drunk and so, but same thing with the girls. They're having parties, they come in, and I give them girls a lot of credit, for doing that, you see.
There's a lot of girls.
That's why I say the Westchester Boxing Club is a great place to come in and learn to box.
Well,
and because we got such nice people there to do it.
Well, I think the public really has a great opportunity to come down and to learn from Sharkey and the great training staff down there at the club. And anybody's welcome to come down. The club is located at 220 Ferris Avenue in White Plains on the first floor. And I believe the hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday 11 to 2.
Right.
And if anybody wants to come down, take a picture with Sharkey and get his autograph and pick his brain about boxing, about the great sport of boxing. And Sharkey, I just wanted to say it's a pleasure having you on the show, and I just want to thank you for my freedom, for defending your country. And
it's always a great pleasure, and I'll always be with you. To me, you're like a son to me, so I'm just a person just trying to help in boxing, and I enjoy doing it, and it's always a pleasure.
Well, that's great. That's great,
Very good. Thank you.
We definitely have experienced a lot together, and I just wanted to say it's definitely been my pleasure to work with you, and anything I can do, I'm always here for you.
We do the best we can, and as well, now I can walk around a little bit now. Maybe I'll have to work in a wheelchair later on. I don't know. Sometimes I get pains in my knees and I can't move pretty good. But like I say, I'm not going to complain because I'm still here, so why complain?
I remember when we used to go to different places like Puerto Rico and
we went to Florida,
Florida and Canada, and we used to travel
one thing they all criticized Don King, but he always treated us good.
Yeah.
He always had good parties for us and took care of us. As far as transportation and all, he was always nice to us. So I got nothing against the man. And listen, he's a smart promoter. That's all he said. He said, Sharkey, he said, tell me, I beat these guys to the punch before they beat me to the punch. So what do you do?
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
And then they talk about now football. Well, I tell you, you take it off for beating in football.
Yeah.
Oh, them guys take a beating. I don't know how they can keep going up all the time. So when they complain about boxing, hey, football is a dangerous sport too, in my opinion. Boy, you get hit hard. That's the only time I was ever hurt when I was a kid playing football. And I remember this Valentin, he got killed in the war. And I remember I didn't have no helmet, I tackled him, and I hit his kneecap, man. I was groggy for the whole week. And that's the toughest punch I ever took in boxing.
I have a question for you. You trained a lot of former local champs, some really great talent like Carl the Truth Williams, Doug DeWitt, WBO world champ. Doug was a great, very great boxer.
Archie Moore, all them guys become champions.
And then there was a lot of local boxers also. You and Charlie Caserta trained more Golden Glove champs than any trainers in the history of the sport.
A lot of Golden Glove champions.
Now, what do you think is the difference between a great boxer and a great trainer? What really makes the difference between guys that are champions? I don't claim to be a great boxer, but as far as the difference between being a boxer and a...
Well, see, it's the chemical. In other words, you train a boxer, then he develops a sense that it's a chemical reaction. Because in other words, in his mind, you're there for him. He gets superstitious. That Tyson, what's the name? The other kid there, what's the name? I mixed up with fighter. Anyway, he always wanted me to band his hands. The champion, it's the kid from the gym. We got a picture in the gym. He fought home for the title.
Oh, not Snipes.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the same. Snipes.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Snipes. Now, Snipes was always superstitious. He always wanted me to band his hands. See, and I always bound his hands all the time. Not because I was better than the other guy, but he was superstitious, so the same with a fighter. So he had that, but see, when Tyson was first coming up with Kevin Rooney, I was down there many times with him down the Wakefield gym. That was a good chemistry there, you see. Yeah. So after he got away from that, then he started to go downhill, you see, because they had that good, and Kevin Rooney was a good trainer, good boxer himself, and he had that relation there, and that's very important to a fighter. He feels that way all the time. Just like when we had a little falling out there one time with Herschel Jacobson. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, then he always realized later on in life how wonderful I was to him, bringing him along as a fighter.
Oh, yeah.
compared with the other guys did. But see, they put him with a guy like Ken Norton, had 28 pounds on him.
Yeah.
They never checked anything out, and they left him there, you know. And then he realized later on, now he always had a great respect for me in that respect, see.
Well, I'd like to mention about Herschel Jacobs while we're on that subject. A lot of people don't know Herschel Jacobs. Sharkey calls him the uncrowned light heavyweight champ.
Right.
Herschel Jacobs fought some great boxers.
Right.
Jake is a great trainer, and that gets back to what I was mentioning about there's some boxers that are they're great boxers, or they were great boxers, and there's trainers that were great trainers, and some great trainers never even put a glove on.
Right,
well,
right.
Herschel Jacobs is a man that I, highly respect, and he really has that uncanny brain as far as being able to train a boxer, and he's a very slick boxer.
Oh, yeah.
And the credit he didn't get, Sharkey, they made a movie about Reuben Hurricane Carter, and the movie was called Hurricane.
He was the first guy to beat Reuben Hurricane Carter.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Jake was the first guy to beat Reuben Hurricane Carter. They never even mentioned it in the movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Jake was a really slick boxer, and he's a really wonderful individual, and I'm happy to say he's a dear friend of mine.
He was in there with O.J. Torres, with Floyd Patterson, all great champions and all, and all fighters like that. And he used to hold his own with him all the time, and that's why I always call him the uncrowned flyweight champion of the world. And many times, Andrew Dunn used to always say, keep away from Kid Sharkey and Herschel Jacobs.
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
I've been fortunate enough to work with Jake, and actually tried to land some punches on Jake, and he's real slick. He's got great defense. You were able to teach him good
defense. That's why I see now, Herschel Jacobs could box with these kids in the gym, would never hurt him.
Yeah, exactly.
Some other guys don't have that skill, and knock a guy all over the place. See? And when I was a little kid, 14 years old, this guy, Max Feast, he was 25 years old. He was supposed to teach me how to box, and all he was banging me all over the damn place.
Yeah.
See? So my little shorty Fatia, he was a great guy, he's passed away since. And so what happened then, we had the box at the YMHA at the time. He took him on and he gave him a beat. He said, he hurt my pal, and I'm going to get you with him. That's what he did.
Well,
that's what happened.
Well, Sharkey, the show's coming to a close, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
And I know we're in boxing because we love it, and I think the other reason is because we can't sing and we can't dance.
Right. Well, people have to forgive me sometime when I have to think a little bit about different fights, because after all, I'm getting on in age now, so I can't remember everything, so they gotta give me that respect.
Me too. It happens to me too, Sharkey.
Okay.
Thanks for coming to the show, and I appreciate everything you've done for me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.